Hello everyone, welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom Channel. I'm Dante Ferrigno and I'm coming to review another video with you guys today. Because, I was thinking as I was picking up my son from school the other day, I was watching all these teenage children coming out of their classes. And there were quite a few of them that were still in great shape. They hadn't put on a lot of extra weight. They were maintaining the youthful bodies that they were supposed to have, but a lot of them weren't. And it started to make me think about back when I was in school in the 1970s and 1980s. And I was kind of the odd man out a lot of times. And I wasn't all that heavy, but I was heavy enough to be the odd man out when it came to that. Sometimes the comments were hurtful, but I didn't understand what was causing my problem. I mean, I knew that I was eating things I wasn't supposed to eat. But more importantly, I didn't know I was eating some of the things that I wasn't supposed to eat. And what I mean by that is I was eating a lot of the things they said that these are the things you should be eating, like drinking milk, drinking orange juice, eating cereal, eating wheat, consuming margarine, having all kind of things that are just really horrible for our bodies. But we were told back then, those are the healthy things. These days, it seems like there's not very much focus on what's really healthy as much as it is, as long as it says that it's healthy, or really, even if it doesn't say if it's healthy, because a lot of these cereals that used to say heart healthy, now that we know they're not heart healthy, they can't make those same claims, so they're not making those claims on the boxes, but the parents go on buying those same cereals as if they're supposedly healthy compared to the icy cereal and the chocolate bar cereal that you're able to buy, whatever your favorite chocolate bar is, or Pop-Tart cereal or something with cookies in it or something like that. I mean, those should be obvious, and a lot of times parents won't buy those, but they will still buy things like Cheerios and Basic 4 and all these other cereals that claim to be healthy for you because they use things like nuts and wheat and barley and all these things that we've been told for so long are healthy. And now, even if the box doesn't say it's healthy, we keep buying that stuff. It all started with one guy, Mr. Kellogg, who decided that he was going to make cornflakes for everybody. And then it just kind of took off from there. And they realized there was a market for quick and easy food. As I was watching these kids, I was just thinking to myself, what has got us to the point where we just eat this stuff? We just accept what's there. We accept what they make in the cafeterias at the schools, which even when I was growing up, they weren't all that great. But when I hear what my kids come home as far as options, they'll have pizza, they'll have chicken nuggets as an option, and occasionally they may even have salads, which, I used to think were a great way to try to stay in shape or lose weight. Ultimately, it's a great way to stay hungry all the time. I wanted to take a look and see what some of the other videos around the internet were saying for why we are in this condition. And I found this one. This one's actually a 9-year-old video. Why Are We All Getting Fat? By Guardian Animations. So let's bring this one up real quick and I'll show you what we're looking at here. So let's take a look at it.
In 2012, a 5-year-old girl was taken into care because she weighed 65 kilos, as much as an adult man. That year, 4,000 children were taken into hospital for obesity treatment, 4 times as many as a decade earlier. Most of us are now fat. 2/3 of adults are overweight or obese, and so are a quarter of our kids. The strangulating mass of fat around our body organs is damaging our health and shortening our lives. Doctors don't want to raise it with us because of the blame and shame around the F word, let alone the O word. Type 2 diabetes, heart disease.
So far, just about everything she said is dead on accurate, and one of the things that drives me crazy about this hypersensitive, oversensitive world we live in, where you can't comment on anything without triggering somebody, you got to be able to give people some tough love once in a while. If I hadn't heard most of my life that I needed to do something different, I might not have started on my journey on carnivore because I had been looking for the right answers. The problem was everybody who was offering the answers wasn't offering the right answers, as I now know. So let's see what they come up with as the right answers for these things.
And stroke rates are soaring. Obesity is the cause of more than 17,000 cancers in the UK every year, and that number is rising. It could cripple the health service. This is not our just reward for sloth and greed. It's the product of a modern lifestyle that has careered out of control. We're on the run.
I'm going to back up for a second because I just thought about what she said there about how it could cripple the health service. This is clearly thinking from a government mandated healthcare system where the government is paying for healthcare costs. And the funny thing is that it's the melding of government and business that is causing this problem. It's the mixture of the food companies and the pharmaceutical companies and the government working together in the corruption that they're involved in that are exacerbating all of this problem. But yet now we look at the healthcare system as being something that could be crippled by exactly what was supposed to be saving it, and that's the government. Business is always going to be seeking to do what they can to make a profit and to earn things, whether they're doing it by graft or by the honest exchange of value for value, which there seems to be far too little of these days. And it's one of the reasons why capitalism gets a bad name these days, is that people aren't offering value for value. They're offering lies for value. They want your money and they're offering you lies. And since the government is behind a lot of this stuff, they're right on board with everything that's going on, with all of the rubber stamping of things that come through the FDA because they just accept it as generally recognized as safe. So they continue to package these products and allow these products to be on the market that are unhealthy for us, because essentially the companies that are paying the bills for these government agencies and for these researchers are the very people who are profiting from all of the stuff that they're selling. Let's back it up here a little bit and make sure we didn't miss anything she was trying to say.
Not our just reward for sloth and greed. It's the product of a modern lifestyle that has careered out of control. We're on the run, snacking as we go, grabbing sweet treats and crisps, burgers and chips, lunching while staring at the computer, and eating ready meals in front of the TV.
There's no doubt about all those comments about the ready meals and the snacking and the chips and the fast foods. The one thing I want to focus in on there is the idea that we're being careered out of control. And you know, there was a time where a working man could provide for his family, and then the mother could stay home and prepare good food for the children. And we acted like that was such a slavery type of environment. We acted like that was part of the problem. And then we decided we're just going to make it totally equal for everyone. And we forced this equalization of the sexes, even to the point that it's gone beyond equalization. And now it's so insane I can't even get into it. I mean, we are just in one heck of a mess when it comes to whatever there's this battle between the sexes for. But the bottom line is there was a time when somebody stayed home that made sure the family got good nutrition and made sure that the house was in order and we weren't running around eating this way. Now we look at it and say, well, this is a product of our modern society. And the same tone of the person who's speaking here sounds like the same tone of the same people who were saying we need to get all the wives in the workplace. We need to have everybody with a 2-household income so that everybody has their own share of everything. And what has it led us to? It's led us exactly to this. It's led us to this destructive mentality that we go through where nobody's taking care of the kids except for the schools and the state, essentially. Nobody's taking care of themselves because they're trusting in the food companies that are providing us with all this garbage. And on top of that, we trust the doctors. One of the experiences I had as an administrator at a retirement home is how much these people implicitly trust their doctor, no matter what their doctor says, even when there's common sense that comes into play. I'm reminded of a time when the doctor told one of our residents' daughters that she can only have this, this, and this to drink. And one of them was water with lemon. So the one time that she was given water without lemon, she went berserk because it wasn't on the list. As if water was going to be some negative thing. But it came right down to the fact that her doctor said that it was water with lemon, so it better darn well be water with lemon every single time. And that's the kind of craziness that we've put ourselves in, where we trust these people who a lot of times don't have our best interests at heart. I mean, they have a lot riding on the fact that they keep doing what they're doing so that they can keep the money coming in, so that they can keep paying the bills for their education, and that they can keep their practice. You know, when it comes right down to it, being a maverick and being somebody who goes out there and takes their patients' health and situations into account to the point that they really offer some constructive criticism or some good advice that's going to help them. They get a lot of backlash from their patients. They get a lot of resistance. And it would be much easier for them just to go along to get along, which is one of the things that I think is really causing so many of our problems these days, is everybody is kind of just going along to get along. Nobody's willing to say anything. I don't want to be the one that rocks the boat. Well, we need some people rocking the boat these days.
The food and drink industry aggressively markets instant meals, fizzy drinks, and snack foods for our convenience, and persuades us that we deserve sugary, saturated, fatty foods as a reward or a treat. And our children learn their eating habits from us. By the time they're 5, many are already heading for obesity. Diets just don't work. You can shift the pounds for 12 weeks, but it all goes back on. We have an inbuilt resistance to starvation, and our bodies store fat when they go hungry. Nobody can fight this alone. We need to talk. We need to educate ourselves and our children about...
You know what they're saying about diets not working, even though I'm doing the lion diet and it's a carnivore diet per se. The word diet has been so misused. Diet means what something eats, period. That should be enough that would be okay to use the word diet. But because we put the word diet like it's packaged with a name, like Atkins diet or Lion diet or any other diet, and then it becomes something that you're doing for a little while. It's not a lifestyle change. So in some cases, you just have to change the way you think of the word diet, because as long as you're doing it as a lifestyle change, then it's not a fad diet. It's more of a way of eating. And exactly what she's saying is true, because so many people, they try the slim fast diet. They try eating having the powdered whatever and mixing it with the milk or water or something, and that this is supposed to help you lose weight. But that's all temporary, and you're not going to keep doing that. Not to mention, who would want to keep eating that way? The one thing I found about eating a proper diet for a human body, which in most cases is simply a whole food diet, which includes plenty of meat and some vegetables, but I have found that I don't even need the vegetables. That's the amazing thing for me, is that all I eat is meat, and I eat specifically red meat, which has changed everything. And I've been doing that for over 31 months now, and I still, at age 50, feel better than I did when I was 17 years old. When I was on the high school wrestling team, wrestling at 189, the weight I got down to so I could be on the wrestling team and not have to wrestle heavyweight. And here I am, 188 pounds at age 50, and I'm in the best shape of my life. And it's all thanks to a carnivore way of eating that has changed everything. And one of the things that has been difficult, as she says, is that we do need to get together and we do need to be able to support one another. Having a carnivore community turned out to be the greatest blessing that I ever could have imagined. When I launched my first video talking about the Lion Diet and talking about how it had changed me, the 125 days on Lion Diet video that I put out, I had no idea that there was a carnivore community out there, or there was anything out there like there is right now for support on people who are looking for ways to change their lives, to be able to get healthy, to be able to clear their mind and get all this fat off of their body, and to be able to live and function like they're supposed to in a society, to be able to be that person in their family that the rest of the family can lean on when they need strength, because that person is healthy and happy and thriving and not full of anxiety and depression and trying to treat it with drugs and medicine and foods that are ultimately medicine as well. I mean, food is thy medicine, or what is it? The saying that is supposedly attributed to Hippocrates, let medicine be thy food and food be thy medicine. Well, if you're eating bad medicine, then you're going to get bad health. And that's ultimately what we're seeing here. And one of the beautiful things about having this carnivore community out there, like you can find on my Facebook group page, it's a private group that's just for people to get together and talk about their experiences on carnivore and lion diet, and not to have all your information shared with everybody you know, because when I understand that it's difficult sometimes when your family and your friends don't understand this carnivore way of eating. So it is important that you're able to get together with like-minded people and see those results and share ideas and share successes, because without it, it's hard to break free from everything she talked about the lives that we live, where we live in this fast food world, where we're working too much, we're running around, we're eating garbage food like potato chips and candies and snacks. We think of those things as treats, when ultimately there is no treat there. The only treat is that fleeting moment that your mouth tastes sugar and your dopamine gets a spike, and then you feel good for just a moment. But then after that dopamine spike comes down and you're lower than you were when you started, and now your body is feeling the results of these poisons that you've put in it, and it's making you sluggish, and it's giving you inflammation and making you feel worse, so that you decide you're going to go out and get another treat to feel a little bit better. And then eventually you start needing to smoke something or vape something or drink something that's going to make you feel even better because you feel so awful. But if you would just get that bad food out of your life and stick to the natural things that are available, which for me, like I've told you before, is ruminant animals. The animals that are just designed to eliminate all the toxins that are in plants and make their meat healthy and delicious and very good for reducing inflammation in the body. And, you know, a lot of people would say, well, how in the world am I going to go to the bathroom eating an all-meat diet? I don't have any roughage that way. Trust me, I don't have any problems going to the bathroom. As a matter of fact, pretty much the key to adjusting your bathroom needs is fat intake. The more fat you take, the more loose things are going to be. The less fat you take, the more hard things are going to be. If you need to increase looseness or hardness, either way, all you got to do is adjust the fat accordingly, and you're not going to have any problems in that area. I know I've gotten a little bit off track on here because I know some of you just come to watch my quick review on this. But for some people, this may be the first time they've seen this channel, and I wanted to be able to cover some of the things that are so important on a carnivore way of eating and what it's done for me. I'm off of all my meds at age 50. I was taking high blood pressure medicine. I was taking medicine for my gut problems. I was taking medicine for anxiety. I was taking medicine for additional medicine for blood pressure and allergies and a number of things. Now I take none of that stuff. I only take a couple of supplements because there's certain foods I'm allergic to, like fish, so I don't get enough iodine in my diet. And at my age, my skin isn't processing vitamin D from the sun like it used to, so I take a vitamin D supplement. And I've been experimenting with a few other supplements, but aside from that, I don't take anything anymore. I don't have to go back and see my doctor for refills on anything. I've been able to get away from hormone therapy drugs. I don't have to take any of that stuff, and I feel the best I ever have in my life. And I want other people to feel that way. That's why I come and talk about videos like this, because it breaks my heart to see so many people that are still blue-pilled and trapped in the matrix of all this food and drugs and the government nonsense that is leading us down the primrose path, keeping us fat, sick, and unhealthy. Let's finish this up. Sorry, I didn't change my shirt after I went walking this morning. I'm still got a little sweat on here.
Real food. And government will have to act with curbs on marketing and taxes on junk if we're to do anything about the shape we're in.
I'm glad that was a short little bit there that was at the end, because I will say I do not agree with that. If government decides to act to increase taxes on something or to curb people from advertising, that's actually going to be a problem, because any government that can tell you you can't do this or you can't eat that is the same government that can tell you to eat and do the wrong things and put you on the wrong track, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. What we need more than anything is truth in advertising. Now, if the government wants to do any type of contract enforcement on that, that would be great, because that's a role for government to get involved in, enforcing contracts. To me, an advertisement that this food, this drug will do this for you is a contract between that company and you, that this is actually what we say it is. But we all know that between the commercials themselves or what it says on the front of the label, 99% of the time, it's misleading at best and a lie most often. That it's not actually healthy, that it's not actually going to do what it says it's going to do. It's going to break down. It's not going to last. It's not going to be able to work very long. It was a gimmick and you knew it all along. But there's no enforcement of these things like there should be. I think that that should be maybe a role that government has, is if you say your product does a certain thing, then you better stick with that. That's why when I talk about certain products, I don't say that they're the perfect solution for everything. I love Vintage Tradition, for instance, because they make their tallow balms and their lip balms and their soaps from natural suet, and that gives it an extra creaminess to it. It's great for your skin. They use extra virgin olive oil, which is also probably the healthiest of all the oils. They make sure that it's cold pressed. So they're doing the things that need to be done to make the product the best it can be. And they're providing something that is ancestrally appropriate for my body. Now, is it the best soap out there? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get you cleaner than the soap that say Dial or something like that would be, but I do know it doesn't have a whole bunch of chemicals in it that's not good for my skin. I'm not putting alcohol on my body and drying my skin out. I'm actually using something that is natural and good. So between the two, I'd rather have the natural and good. But I'm not going to say that it's going to fix all of your problems and all your odor is going to go away or anything like that. It's simply that they're making a good quality product, and they're making a product that has in it what you would expect to have in it. Do you pay for that? Of course you do, because most of the stuff out there is just fake garbage, and it's cheap. It's cheap to make fake garbage. But when you buy good quality products, you're going to pay a little more for it, but you get what you pay for that way. Nowadays, it seems like everything we buy is wish.com quality garbage from China, and none of it lasts, and none of it does what it says it's going to do. And that might be a role that government might have, is enforcing that what they say things are is what they say they are. Otherwise, those companies have to pay a penalty, maybe through class action lawsuits or even regular lawsuits. Because when people are promised one thing and given something different, there should be somebody there to enforce that contract. But when it comes down to taxing the eating of these foods, that simply is social engineering. And I don't want the government involved in social engineering, because I don't know who's at the top of that government next. Whoever's at the top of that government now might be very magnanimous and an awesome person, but the person who replaces them could be another Joseph Stalin or an Adolf Hitler that's going to lead us down the wrong path and is going to come up with lies for us. And as you know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The more power we give to these central planners, the less freedom we're going to have, the less control we're going to have over our own lives. And if they all lead us down one path and it happens to be the wrong path, who's going to lead us out? Who's going to take us onto the right path? Well, I'm all about freedom, a freedom of choices, freedom of making good decisions, and I'm also for the free market. If we stop spending our money on these garbage cereals, these garbage foods for our kids, these prepackaged snacks that we put in their lunch bags, on the food that they serve at the schools, going to fast food restaurants. You want to see them change the way they're behaving? Stop giving them your money, because every dollar you give them is a vote for more garbage. It's a vote for more unhealthiness. You can't do anything about what your neighbors are doing except lead by example. And when you get healthy and they decide, hey, what have you done, man? You used to be overweight, just like me, and you used to look all unhappy like I feel all the time. How can I have what you have? That'll be your opportunity to be able to bring them on board and help them break their family free from the same stuff that's keeping them in chains. The stuff we just watched here, there was a lot of truth in it. There was a lot of error in it. But ultimately, it comes down to, Are you ready to take control of your health and make a difference in your life and in your family's life and in your community's life? It's up to you. It's time to say screw it. I'm going to get up and do it, and I'm going to make it happen today. I'm not going to be controlled by somebody else who doesn't really care about me. I'm not going to put my faith in somebody who doesn't have my best interest in mind. I'm taking control of my health, and I'm going to lead the way in my life. I'm going to be the captain of my own ship. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. I know I went on a long time on a 2.5-minute video, but I appreciate you sitting with me and talking, and I'll see you guys next time. One of the things I do to fight back against big food and big pharma is to recommend companies that make animal-based products that are good for our bodies and good for our skin. In this case, I'm talking about Vintage Tradition. Vintage Tradition tallow balms are a go-to for me now, especially the unscented one. I like it because it doesn't have anything extra in it other than extra virgin olive oil and tallow rendered from suet. This is the interior fat, also called suet or kidney fat. For the tallow they use making the tallow balm. Highly saturated and therefore more therapeutic than any other. They don't use any trim fat or any other fats besides suet. So if you want some ancestrally appropriate skincare products that are going to help support the carnivore movement, head over to vintagetradition.com and use my discount code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, to save 10% on your order. Their products are fantastic. I love them and I use them all the time.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?